mate, we've given Ransom a break here for about an hour, and I thought I'd come back and do a few things a little bit different with him. I brought my horse in, Diaz, and I thought I'd like to do a little bit of ponying with this horse, where I can get him to move his hindquarters, move his forequarters, and get him used to something up above him, because eventually we're going to ride him. So he's got to get used to things up above his eye, things touching his back. I've got to be able to do the Jeffries method, the human curry comb. So this is just another little way to get him a little bit more desensitized. Now at this point, you're not going to see, I put on a 14-foot lead rope. I took off the 23-foot line because it's just too much line to work with when you're with another horse, okay? It's almost like the more line you've got, the more you can get tangled up in it. Not only that, you're not going to see me dally up to the horn and pull him around or any of that stuff. Everything I'm going to do is kind of with my own two arms, okay? I don't ever recommend people use a saddle broke horse to dally up to the horn and pull a wild horse around until you're pretty experienced, because you dally up to a wild horse, unless you've got some good roping skills, you can get into a wreck pretty quickly. And I'll be the first to tell you, I don't do it. I'm not experienced to do it, so I don't even bother trying to do it. Gordon and I in Australia, we just never used a saddle broke horse very much at all. We did everything from the ground. There's positives and negatives, okay? Like the whole kind of Ray Hunt type of philosophy is, you do it from a horseback, kind of old west kind of a deal, dally up, move them around, pull them around, etc. Here's the pros and cons. If you do break colts in from another saddle broke horse, here's some positives, okay? It can gentle the horse down a little bit quicker because they're comfortable being around another horse, and horses feel safety in numbers, okay? It also gives you a lot more strength. When that colt goes to take off and run away, you can dally up to the horn 2 or 3 times and use that saddle broke horse to kind of pull him off balance and get 2 eyes, so that you're a lot stronger than what you are on foot, okay? Another good positive is you get up above their eyes, so they get used to seeing things up above them. Bad part is that I usually find that when you do get down on the ground again, they're real terrified of you again because they haven't seen you on the ground. Okay, so you've got to go back and do the groundwork regardless anyway. So we kind of always figured out you might as well just start on the ground and get it done from the beginning. It's almost hard to get into a wreck on the ground, as far as get to where the rope gets tangled around you and around the horse and you end up getting flipped over. But you can get into a wreck pretty quickly with a saddle broke horse, especially dallying up to the horn. So worst scenario, he'll jerk this out of my arm. Okay, no big deal. I get off, pick the rope up, get back on. Not the end of the world, okay? I'd rather that happen than him get wrapped around it, or wrapped around the horn, wrapped around my hand, and get into a wreck with it, okay? So I'm not saying that starting them from another horse is not good. You just got to have a certain level of experience to get away with it, okay? So the biggest things that I'm going to work on here is basically just want to get his hindquarters loosened up here, okay? So what I'm going to do is pull, I'm going to let that go over there. And I'm just going to walk into this horse's hindquarters and just see if I can't get the hindquarters to loosen up and disengage, okay? And whatever horse you're riding, make sure they're a pretty quiet saddle broke horse, that they're not going to give you any problems. And I'm going to kick him in the ribs a little bit here in his flank with my toe to get him to disengage that hindquarters if he won't move it. But because I've already taught him how to move it on the ground, it's not that big of a deal, okay? So I just walk into their hip here and get them used to this, okay? There we go. Get that hindquarters loosened up. That's it. And I can get to where I can be touching him with my foot around his flank, and it gets him used to all that, okay? Righto. Now I might bring his front end through, walk a bigger circle, and get up here behind his eye, and see if I can't drive his front end away a little bit. This is all kind of new to him. There we go. There we go. There, see how I use the fence to kind of block him there a little bit? There. Yield that forequarters. There we go. Get that forequarters to move away. That's a boy. Now I might just stop him and rub him. This is kind of new for him. He's never seen anybody up high like this. So I'm just going to kind of rub around his head here. He doesn't like my hand moving around his head now that I'm up higher. So I'm just going to keep moving my hand around the airspace around his head. If I can't touch his head, might as well touch around his head, get a starting point. There we go. And then rub him there. That's a boy. That's a boy. Okay, so I'm just going to keep going into his hindquarters. Yield that hindquarters away. If I have to use my horse to push his hindquarters away, get him to move his chest away, that's okay. I'm trying to bend that nose a little bit here. There we go, there it loosened up a bit better. Okay, you can tap him in the flank there a little bit, get that hindquarters stepping away. Now remember, this is his stiff side, isn't it? This is the side he doesn't want to bend very much on. There, it's loosening up. There it is. You've got to get that hindquarters to loosen up. Bend that head. There. Step that hindquarters across. Now bring his front end through. Change my hand here. And just yield this forequarters. That's it. Little drive and pressure. There, when he does good, bring him back to me. Rub on him a little bit here. Good boy. That's a boy. Just gets him used to something up above him. He's not real keen on it, but he'll get better. Righto, let me go back. See here, I'm kicking his hindquarters under his flank there a little bit with my left foot. Loosen up that hindquarters, buddy. I kind of get Diaz to push on him a little bit here. There we go. That's it. There it moved. Now it's moving. There, it loosened up. And now go ahead and bring this front end through. That's it. And now rub him. A little different look here, isn't it? Little different look here, isn't it? That's it. You don't like that, do you? So I'm just going to keep doing it until you get comfortable with it. You don't like this moving around his head that much. Come here. There we go. That's it. That's a boy. This ain't that much work, is it? Right, let's go the other way. Basically, just like on the ground. Get those hindquarters loosened up. Without dallying to the saddle horn, or it's pretty hard to get into any real major wrecks doing this. But you dally up to that horn, you better know what you're doing. Look how much softer he is this side. He's a lot softer, isn't he? See how he bends? Look how his hindquarters moves away. He bends a lot better. Now I'm going to bring his forequarters through. Create a little energy with my hand. There it is. Okay. Okay. I'm going to use my horse to push him a little bit. Come here. Come here. Just going to pull him towards me a little bit here. I'm going to start that again. He's a little pushy there with his forequarters. I'm going to move this rope around him a little bit here. Get him to where none of this really bothers him. I love it when I can tap him a little bit in the ribs with my foot and they don't kind of overreact to that. Bend that nose. That's a boy. Bend that nose. Right out. Let's go ahead and bring that front end through. Bring that front end through. There we go. Yeah, yield that 4/4. Yield that 4/4. If I need to, I'll use the fence to help drive him away. All right, little big fella. That's a boy. That's a boy. There we go. Loosen the hindquarters up, bring the 4/4 through now, create a little energy here. When you can yield that 4/4 away from you, you're in good shape. You don't want to yield his 4/4 this way, do you? All right. Even my Saddlebroke horse, make him give their face. Two eyes. I just kicked his ribs just then to get the horse to yield his hindquarters. That's a boy. Now I'm just going to start getting the lead up beside me a little bit more. Once you get some control of the hindquarters and 4/4, then you can start getting them to come up beside you. Okay. That's a boy. Start to get him used to all this. Touching him up here, touching back on his butt. That's a boy. Do it from the other way. And you can yield a horse's 4/4 away from you. If he tries to bite my horse, I'm going to jerk on him. They get much more submissive. Right. See here, yield that hindquarters away. Two eyes, please. You don't like that, do you? Don't push into me. I'm going to use the fence here if he gets a little pushy. Use my horse to push him around a little bit. That's it. Don't bite my friend. Don't bite my friend. There we go. Don't bite me either. Rightio. Let's change sides a little bit. This side is a little wild run, isn't he? You see this? He doesn't want me to get so close, does he? See how he sees me out of this right eye? He's not quite as comfortable, that's a boy. It's kind of like you're riding them, but you're not. Now, this doesn't hurt to do it to any age colt, even if they're pretty quiet. It never hurts them to be ponied off another horse. That's a boy. Now he's getting a little quieter. That's a boy. 2 eyes, please. 2 eyes. 2 eyes. 2 eyes, 2 eyes. There. He can have a few little, well, Ransom can have a little tantrum every once in a while. That's a boy. Lots of this stuff. Lots of rubbing him here. He's got to learn to see me out of both eyes. There we go. That 4/4, that 4/4 to step away. Hindquarters, yield, that was better. 2 eyes, 2 eyes. That's a boy. Two eyes. 2 eyes, my special little friend. He has a little bit of a tantrum every once in a while. I need to give him a little hand therapy. Like I whacked him just then because he's been an obnoxious pig. I'm going to go back to this side again. Change hands with the ropes. Lots of slapping on their body. Yeah, these 4 quarters. There we go. That was better. There we go. Now he's kind of out of his tantrum now. Got your knickers out of a knot now, didn't you? If he wants to move, let's move, but I'm going to drive him away. Drive him away. Drive that front end away. Drive that front end away. Yield that hindquarters. There it goes. That's it. It's a different look up here. That's a boy. That hindquarters. That hindquarters. Don't push into me with that front end. He gets a little pushy on this one side. Two eyes. 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 That's better. Don't run away from me. That's better. I want to get to where I can't chase him away. That's a boy. Good boy. He's a little touchy back in here, so I've got to watch him. Don't bite me now. Keep the head tipped towards you. That's a boy. That's a boy. He's a bit ticklish around his girth here, which most of them are. Rightio. Let's get him to yield his forequarters a little bit from the ground. We just use a little driving pressure. Just start out tapping gently. Tap a little more. I might have to use steady pressure a little bit of touch and rub if I think that'll help him here. There we go. So I might just start out with, the reason why I went back to steady pressure, yield the forequarters, touch and rub, is that you start whacking them up around their head too much, they might rear up and strike at you. So I just got to get him to yield that forequarters. There we go. There we go. That's a boy. That's a boy. That's a boy. Just looking for that crossover step. That's a boy. And then as he gets a little better with it, I'll turn it over to driving. That's a boy. Driving pressure. Remember there's two types of pressure. Steady pressure and then driving pressure. That's a boy. That's it. That's a boy. Come back in here, rub him again. Let's try the other side. You notice they kind of learn a little, they have little tantrums every once in a while. That's very normal in the beginning when they're first learning. Just got my fingertips and just press there, rub into a star. Press him again with my fingertips. That's it. Yield that forequarters. That's it. There we go. And he may not cross over real good in the beginning, as long as it's an attempt. There we go. The more control you can get of their feet, the better. Good boy. I'm going to rub on him here a little bit. This would be almost a good place to quit him here for the day. He's done pretty good. He's a lot better than yesterday. He's not perfect yet, but he doesn't have to be perfect. It's just his second lesson with a human before. Okay, there we go. Excellent. I love that, how he just lowered his head just then. Every chance I get when I retreat, I'm going to start coming in, getting my hands further on him. Get further back, but I get in close. If he's going to kick me, I'd rather be in close to him. He's not going to cause that much damage, but if I get further away from him and get on the end of that foot, now you're in some trouble. Love that. He's got his leg cocked. That's great. Oops, sorry, buddy. That's Juan Diaz. He's not thinking this is a good deal. That's a boy. That's a boy. Okay, I'm going to get my stick out. Never hurts to work on that leading. You have the hindquarters, spiral on out. He's a little bit frightened of spanking the ground. And just cut him off a little bit here, flip it over the top of his head and start again. 2 eyes. That's why you use the 23-foot long line in the beginning. So if they do jump away from you, you got a little bit more rope to work with. 2 eyes. 2 eyes. 2 eyes. I might start out in front of him. And then slowly work my way in. Now, even though he jumped away from me, I kind of quit spanking the ground. I kind of had to get 2 eyes, but as soon as I can, get back to it again. That's a boy. That's it. That's better. Good boy. Lots here. Got to get that girth area desensitized. And his back leg now. Touching him around that girth area right there. That's That's it. Use the rubber hand, tip of the stick so it doesn't poke into him. That's it, boy. Run down his back leg a little bit here. I like to do a lot of that. Getting him to go over and down. Good boy. That's it, boy. You can't rub on these things too much. So before I leave, I just want to practice a little bit of approach and retreat. Walking up and rubbing him. Because tomorrow I'd like to be able to catch him without roping him. And he's got to feel comfortable about me just walking up to him. So I can't stress the importance of this enough, of just approach and retreat. Especially two hands up around their face. That's it. So today he's quiet enough, but I'm going to put some spray on his face for that cut. I'm going to put some Vetricin on it. It's a product that I use on all my horses. Any cuts or wounds or funguses, you name it, I use it on. It works phenomenally. But I wouldn't want to have sprayed this on his face up until now because he just wasn't quite broken enough. Get two hands over him as quick as you can. Rightio then, I'm going to practice walking up and putting another halter on him again, just like I did yesterday. I'm going to put this around his neck and just practice walking up and putting a halter on him a few times, and then we'll quit him for the day. Okay, I'm just going to walk up, approach and retreat. And I want to start getting him to where he's just a little bit more confident about having a halter being put on him. Two eyes. That's better. That's a boy. Rub this halter all over him. Back and forth over his ears. He's licking his lips. Good. Good boy. I love that. See how he lowered his head just then? I like that a lot. Rightio. He's done for the day. But what I am going to do is give him a drink of water now. Remember, you got to be the water boy. Okay? You're the one that feeds them, gives them a drink. They don't get it any other place. Now, the last 3 days, we put him in another pen so he had some shelter away from the wind and the rain a little bit more. But now that the weather's finer, I'm going to leave him in this round pen for the next 2 or 3 days. And I'm the only one that brings the water. I'm the only one that brings the feed. So he only drinks when I'm around. Okay, so we'll do that with him next. Well, mate, we're back here again on day number 3 with our wild Mustang Ransom. Now, this is his 3rd session, okay? The first day went really good, second day went pretty good, except he had 3 days break in between the second session, which was yesterday, and the weather's been pretty good, so today will be a follow-up lesson. I'm expecting to get a lot more results today than what I got in the second lesson because of that consistency. Remember, consistency is your greatest ally, inconsistency is your greatest enemy. So it's very, very important to have as many consecutive days in a row. In a perfect world, when I'm starting a colt, I don't give him any days off for 14 days. When I start him, Every single day for the next 14 days, I'm going to work with him, okay? Now, instead of just trying to chase him around and start the round penning procedure, before I do that, I want to sort of give him a chance to see if I can be good. He can be good to me as far as let me catch him without me having to run around too much. I don't want these colts to get in a habit of, as soon as I step in that round pen, they think that I'm going to chase him away. So to begin with, I might just go around to his hindquarters here, act like I've got a lead rope on him, and work on disengaging his hindquarters. When he steps towards me, walk away. Now this morning I offered him another drink of water and he drank about a bucket full of it. Okay, he didn't drink a lot last night and I took the water away from him. And then this morning about a bucket. So he's going to start catching on that when I offer that water, he better drink pretty quick or I'm just going to take it away. So he's a lot quieter today, so far anyway. He's following me around a little bit, giving me two eyes. Okay, he doesn't seem anywhere near as reactive as yesterday. So we'll just kind of build on it from here, basically. So if I need to chase him around and round pen him, catch his eye, catch his eye. I lost him here. I want to go back to this eye. That right eye was the one that I was working on. That one right there. Catch his eye. Catch his eye. So if he's not hooking up quite here, I've lost him a little bit now. I'll go move his feet around. Change directions. Come on, don't just stand there. Move those feet. You're not allowed to just stand there. Move those feet. So now I'm going to start making him canter a bit more now. I'll first point, then if he doesn't go, cluck, and doesn't go, spank. Point, cluck. That's a boy. Notice now when he canters, I take that pressure off. I'm not such a nagging mother with the pressure because now I'm actually trying to sensitize him because he's getting a tad bit on the dull side, which is nice to problem to have. At least initially anyway. Move those feet. I'm going to change directions. Step out in front, back, go the other way. Very important in colt starting to get those feet unstuck. What do I mean by unstuck? Get them to where they'll canter, they'll move out. The quickest way to get bucked off a colt is let them get sticky and tight with their feet. That's when they want to buck and crow hop and kick up and all that kind of stuff. Point, got to get those feet loosened up. That's one of the hardest things to do with quiet domesticated colts, is to get them from being so lazy where they'll actually start moving those feet. Move those feet. If I had to, I'd bring my stick and string in here or my plastic bag and create more energy if you got too lazy to the rope. Step in front. That was better. See, that time he turned in straight away, I didn't have to chase him. Point. Move those feet now. Training horses is about who can control whose feet. They either got control of your feet and make you move, or you got control of their feet and you can make them move. It's pretty much that simple. The more you can move their feet forwards, backwards, left and right, the more respect you'll get from the horse, the more the horse will use the thinking side of his brain and not the reactive side. See, a wild Mustang, when you first capture them, all they know is react. They only know how to use the reactive side. Even though they've got a thinking side of their brain, they don't know how to use it. It's our job to show him how to use it. And you teach your horse. That was the first time I pointed and clucked, and I didn't need to spank the rope on my leg to get him canter. That's good. That was the first time I pointed and didn't even cluck. So he's catching on to the cues now. When I open up the door, go through that door. Quickest way to get a horse using the thinking side of their brain, redirect those feet forwards, backwards, left and right. Same way you get respect. Catch his eye, back, there. Come on, move. See, when we go to ride him for the first time, I'm going to have a helper in here on the ground. And that helper's got to be able to get that horse's feet to move. So if I don't get him cantering around, now it's going to come back to give me trouble later on. Just make sure your belly button's, that was good, behind that drive line. If there's an imaginary girth, that's where that drive line is. See, I let him commit to the mistake of trotting. Then a cluck, point, cluck, and then spank and correct him. Always let your horse commit to the mistake and you correct him. And if you have repetition and consistency, it won't take that long to where they won't make the mistake notch. But if you keep telling them, don't do it, guaranteed they want to do it. Catch his eye. So I grab my halter now. We might as well start getting him used to this just a little bit more. And let's ask him to face up now. Catch his eye. There we go. Oh, I like that, him stepping forward like that. If he's stepping forward, I'll keep trying to walk away. Circle to that hindquarters. He's wanting to look at that rope there a little bit, but he also needs to concentrate. Oh, lost him. Send him back on the eye that you lose him on. There we go. Instead of walking straight up to him, I'm going to zigzag back and forth. Eventually we should be able to walk straight up to him. There we go. Now see how he's got his head turned here? Don't release your hand or the pressure until their head straightens up. You don't want them to think that if they get their head turned away from you, you'll retreat. There, I love that. He kind of smelt me there, retreat. There we go. That's a lot better. So we still had to move his feet around a little bit, didn't we? To get him to use the thinking side of his brain. Okay, but it didn't take that much. So each day is getting less and less to get him to be caught. And today, I'm pretty confident I bet we can get this halter on without having to put a rope on him. If you're still having to rope them on the third lesson onwards, something's not quite going right. You need to maybe do more approach and retreat. You need to practice catching them more at the end. Something's not quite going right. They should be, the fish in them should be becoming less and less. It's very important to use the crown piece of your halter to over their head and then scoop their nose. So I'll kind of get this up here. Okay. Rub him here. Take it over his ears. And that way if he went to run right now, I can draw him back to me. And now I'll scoop his nose, just like that. Pick my halter up here. Got to be a little bit careful right here, but I don't do anything too drastically spooky that he might jump away from me and pull the halter off. Not until I at least, there, get it done up like that. Now now that it's on, I'm gonna adjust it a little bit tighter. Okay, good boy. So before I move on, I'm just going to practice a little bit more approach and retreat catching him. But because the halter's on now, I can be a little bit more bolder about how I walk up to him. That's a boy. That's a boy. That's a boy. He wants to be a little silly. 2 eyes. Wants to be a little silly here. Go out of your way to see if you can make him run away. That's it. Don't sneak around them. The more you sneak around them, the spookier and jumpier they get. That's a boy. I like that. That time he walked up to me a little bit when I walked away. I didn't ask him to. He just walked up. That's a good sign. That's a boy. I'll just go to each side of his face. Just got to get comfortable with things moving around in my arms a lot more. Every time I retreat now, I'm going to move him off balance just a little bit. A little spooky on this side. Again, if he wants to run, encourage that. Encourage him to run off until he just chooses not to want to. Heart attacks are free, so give your horse one. Every time he leaves, I just get two eyes back on him. There we go. Good boy. There, when he stands there, go and rub him. So far, leading a lot better than yesterday. Get those hands to where you can rub them over their ears, down their neck. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some more Vetericyn on that cut on his face. I'm going to do that at least a couple of times a day. If you'll put that on your wounds 2 or 3 times a day, you'll be amazed how quickly they heal up. Good boy. So we always start out every day with desensitization. Rope first, then the stick and string, and then I got to start doing me more with my hands touching him on his body more. Always start and finish the lesson with desensitization. The first thing you do every day is prove to him you and your tools aren't out to get him. Last thing you do every day before bed, again, prove to him that you and your tools aren't going to get him. So no more kicking. Remember him kicking at this the first time it touched him? Okay, he's over a lot of his kicking now. That's a boy. A lot better. See, I'm not even going to try to pick up his feet until I can touch him with the rope and the stick, and he's comfortable with things just touching him there. Excellent. Last one is pitch it over his back. So the whole time he's kind of been licking his lips as I've been doing that, so it takes a lot less time. Okay, I'm going to start to rub him here a little bit more. That's a boy. I have to work my hand down his back a little bit. Get in a little closer to him. Whatever you do on one side, do on the other. I'm going to see if I can't get that front end to just step across here. Nearly. There it is right there. And then rub it to a stop. So you're going to notice that from now on, whenever I'm changing sides, I'm going to encourage him to either move his hindquarters or move his forequarters. I'm never just going to walk around the other side. When I say never, never's a long time, but most of the time I'm going to ask him to move his feet when I move. Eventually I won't have to move at all. Whoever moves first loses, and one of the #1 rules in horsemanship. That's it. And the last one is pitch it over their back. You notice things are taking a lot less time now. So I'm still going to do it a lot, but nowhere near as much per time. Like I'm going to be doing more repetitions in between the exercises. That's a boy. Start to rub down his shoulder here a little bit, up his neck, get it a little closer to him. Get our stick and string out. Get your lead rope behind you. The horse's weather shield, their withers and back, hindquarters, neck, is the least sensitive part of their body. Horses are very sensitive under their belly and flank, around their legs, and around their head, because they're their vital things that they need to protect. For example, underneath the horse's belly, the reason why horses are very protective around their flank and around under their belly is that if they get stabbed, you know, a lion digs their claws in and punches their abdomen. Even if the horse gets away from the lion, okay, he's still going to die a week later of an infection anyway if he gets his belly punctured. Horses are very sensitive around their legs, because if they injure their legs, now they can't run away from predators. Okay? Predators always go for the one that runs the slowest, which is the newest member of the herd, the little foal that's just born. Okay? The one that's sick, the one that's old. Okay? They always go for the one that can't run very much, and horses know that, so they're always making sure that they protect their legs so they can run from danger. All right, I'm going to ask him to step across, use a little driving pressure now, use a little driving pressure, get that front end to step across, step across, step across, please. I keep tapping with rhythm. See how he's backing up here? He's giving me the wrong answer. He's a little confused. I just keep tapping. Keep tapping with rhythm, nearly. Keep tapping with rhythm, nearly. There it is, right there. When I find it, just rub it to a stop. Now he walked off there a little bit, not the end of the world. But I've got to get better control of that forequarters, hindquarters. Stay at that 45-degree angle. You'll be amazed when you don't step in the right spot. Something bad happens, they're going to kick you or strike you. It's safety first for me, and then my horse. I don't want to get hurt, but I don't want my horse to get hurt either, but I'm first. Okay. Start rubbing him down here. I got my hand up here in case he got a little pushy. Okay, I got to start going down his legs here. Okay. I try not to focus on one area too much. I kind of move it around a lot. Under his belly here. I got to get him used to that a bit more. That's it. Now I'll start spanking the ground around him. He didn't like this yesterday, did he? See, in Australia, it's kind of tradition to break him in with a stock whip and get him confident about using a whip around him. Well, this is kind of the same thing. It doesn't crack and make a cracking noise, but it's something swinging around. 2 eyes. I notice he's a lot more responsive to the halter today than what he was yesterday. It doesn't take anywhere near as much to pull on it like that to get him to give me 2 eyes. So obviously he needs a bit more work with this. He's not quite comfortable. There, I like that. Kept his feet still, licked his lips. Remember, you're waiting for him to stand still, show you one of the 5 signs of relaxing, okay, or stand still for at least 15 seconds. I'm just looking for those, oh no, don't do that spots. Don't get directly in front of him. I always try to get their head tipped towards me slightly when I'm doing this as well. You see me go down his legs a lot more today too. Okay, that's better. Let's move on a little bit here. There's no particular order now that I'll work on the exercises. You know, he's got to do the sending exercise, he's got to do lunging stage 1, lunging stage 2, front around the rear, yield the hindquarters. You know, I kind of mix it up a little bit with him every day to keep it kind of guessing a little bit. But at this point, I just got to keep building on getting control of his feet and let me control it, okay? Today I'll do the sending exercise on this side of the round pen. Now that's a lot better. See him yield better that time? Now I like what just started to happen then. That was the first time I pointed, see that there? And it started to connect the halter to his feet. That's what was missing from yesterday. He wasn't connecting the halter to his feet. Point. Come on, move your feet, please. There. Look at that hindquarters. If the horse is up too close, just use your stick. Yield. Now again, I didn't get real close to the fence initially in case they come past and kick you. Okay, I built him up to getting this close to the fence. There we go. But this is a great exercise there for getting that horse to connect that halter. See here? Connect the halter, please, to your feet. That left side's his stiff side, isn't it? Move away. Don't let him get pushy now. I like the fact that he's getting quieter, but with quietness, believe it or not, comes pushiness if you're not careful. So you need to make sure that as they get quieter, you don't let them get pushy. And they will naturally do that, so be prepared. And today we're going to start backing him up as well. We haven't done any backing up just yet, but he's ready for that now. I don't back them up when they're wild, 2 eyes, until I've got some draw on them. Meaning draw is the ability for them to come towards you. Okay, draw and drive. He had a lot of drive, which is getting away from me. 2 eyes. He's not disengaging there. Belly button, 2 eyes. He's a little lazy on his hip, yielding his hip here. So watch what I do. Belly button, and that was better. Tail. Step towards that tail. Point. Belly button, 2 eyes. That's the side that he's stiff on. And that stiffness in the halter is coming from the fact that he doesn't want to loosen up his hindquarters. Right there. See the difference? That time there, he loosened up his hindquarters, which meant he didn't pull on the halter. Now I'm just going to step up here to block him. He came through last time and I didn't ask. Not the end of the world, but I want to correct that. Normally I'd back him up, but he didn't know how to back up. We need to teach that to him today, okay? But remember that, when we've got the resistance out of the hindquarters, they're light on the halter. When there's resistance in the hindquarters, they'll always be heavy on the, see the difference? He was real light, but his hindquarters also yielded too. There we go. Yield. Yield. I might widen the gap a little bit and make some noises and put a little pressure on him when he comes past me, just see how he reacts a little bit. Ideally, he should just kind of ignore me. Yield. Move that front end. Shh, shh, shh. Shh. I'd like him to just walk through the gap. Shh, shh, shh. Shh, shh, shh. There we go. Shh, shh, shh. Shh. That's better. Yield. Didn't yield very well. He wanted to kind of do a U-turn. So I jerked on that halter. That's better. Yield. Righto, let's just go turn that into lunging stage 1 and stage 2. I like how he's lunging around today. What do you notice to the right? He's a lot lighter. This was always his better side anyway, mind you. But see how much slack more he's got in the rope? That's the secret to doing the liberty that I do with Diaz and Mindy, where the horse circles around me with no halter and lead rope in the middle of the arena. I'm showing you kind of how I teach you right now, is that you get that slack in that rope until one day you don't need the rope. Then yield. See how it didn't give me 2 eyes? Yield. Thank you very much. I didn't ask you to run off. Yield. 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 The only place I yield. Aha. Isn't that a lot better? You see what I did then? I didn't make him give me 2 eyes. I just made it uncomfortable for him not to give me 2 eyes. When I look at your hindquarters, it's 2 eyes now. Remember, 2 eyes is always better than 2 heels. So every time he ran away, I just went back to his butt. When he gave me 2 eyes, I took the pressure off. So we'll point. Come on, move your feet. Move your feet. I'm asking him with the rope. Come on, move your feet. Towing him with the stick. Now this was his stiffer side, wasn't it? 2 eyes. This is the side he wasn't very good about wanting to bend and soften. He will. I can already tell it's better than yesterday, but it's still not as good as that right side. Point, open up the door. Anytime you spank them to go forward, always point first. Open up that door. Now I'm going to close the door and get 2 eyes. Look at his hindquarters. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. There. Now that was interesting. He thought about running just then, didn't he? And he chose not to. Okay, that was a good sign. Follow that feel. Look at that hindquarters. Now that was, oh, it started out good, and then he just walked off. There. Point. There we go. Lunging stage 1, lunging for respect stage 1 is about sending the horse off, bringing them back. Sending them off, bring them back. And I'm going to start, remember we did a little bit of arm movement yesterday? Psht, making sure that we could throw our arms around a little bit and he wouldn't overreact. Psht, psht, psht. Slide, stab, yield. Now he thought about going off to the right just then, didn't he? So what will I do? I'll take him back off to the left. I got to get it to where as soon as I point, I don't need to have to use the stick, he'll just go. And that'll just take a few days. It's not going to happen overnight, but he'll get better every day. Eventually he'll quit shaking his head like that when he feels the hole to pull on his face. Move. Slide. Yeah. See how he went to go off to the right? Ah, now that's much better. That was one of the first times I pointed and he just followed that feel. Slapped him up the guts that time and said, move that rib away. Yield. You must be going the wrong way. Drive back. Yield. Move your feet. Every time he anticipates, just do the opposite of what he wants to do. I'm going to pull and release. That's better. Now when he does finally give me two eyes and doesn't anticipate going left to right, I'm going to let him have a little rest here. Now I'll go ahead and send him back this way. Yeah. Oh, I love what he just did just then. He just stepped right on up to me. Now typically with a domesticated horse, I wouldn't let him come into my personal space like that. But one that's wild like him, the fact that he just drew towards me just then by himself, I don't want to knock that out of him. I don't want to make him feel wrong for wanting to come up to me like I'm going to get him. Okay, now later on I'm going to correct that if he does that. But for right now, it's not all bad. In fact, not all bad, it's really good what he just did. The fact that he walked up to me just then by himself showed a lot of confidence on his end that he's not trying to get away from me. Slide, stab, yeah. Now see how he's heading off to the right? And we can go back to the left. And I want him to leave with some energy too. Slide, stab, yield. As soon as he goes back off to the right, send him back the other way. Horse training's really about doing the opposite of what the horse wants to do. There. So a little lunging for respect stage 2 would be good right now. He's a little pushy at that front end, so this lunging stage 2 is going to help that front end move away. Okay, remember, turn your palm up. Step 1, step 2, put the stick in your hand. Step 3, slide your hand down. Step 4, step in front. Point, 2 eyes. Now again, all of this is in your arena mates in detail. All of the steps. Palm up, stick in your hand, slide, step in front, move. Palm up, stick in your hand, slide, step in front, drive that front end away. By driving that front end away, you're getting that horse to move it, submit, forwards, backwards, left and right. It's really a good exercise for those horses that are pushy and dominant and always trying to run into you when you're leading them, because it makes them hustle that front end away. Yeah. Lots of changes of direction. The more changes of direction you do, the better it works. He's quite a bit better today, isn't he? And I'll use some of that fear of making noises to help that roll back until eventually they just ignore me. Use that fear to help you with that turn. Step. Move away. Move away. It's not all bad that he's getting a tad bit dull in some areas. That's the opposite of overreacting. Step. See here? Step. When I pull on that halter, honor it and respect it. Leave that front end. He's a little dull there. Here, when they run past you, go jerk, jerk, jerk. On that halter. There, that was a good turn. There, and that was a good turn. Okay, I'm going to yield his hindquarters. 2 eyes. Didn't give me 2 eyes, did he? 2 eyes, there he did. You get very, very particular about 2 eyes. I can't stress that enough about getting particular about 2 eyes. It's kind of like a salute in the army. If you do a half-hearted salute, they'll knock you to the ground, kick you in the guts 3 or 4 times. Well, they used to. They can't anymore. I've got to give you a timeout and write your review and talk to your supervisor. And everybody talks about their feelings. But years ago, they used to throw you on the ground and kick you in the guts. Okay? If you don't show that sign of respect, there's trouble. That's a boy. Excellent. Change sides. Get him to bring that front end across. Rub it to a stop. Lots of it around their legs. Now I'm just going all over him, but if I notice any particular spot that he's struggling with or he's having a hard time with, then I'm going to work on that area a lot more. Okay. If I don't see any major hole in him, I'm just going to keep looking for one. Let's change sides. Move that front end. There it is. Every single time you change sides. See here? Do not push into me here. Don't let that happen. Get that hand up there. Like I said, they'll get pushy very, very quickly if you let them. Once you get the fear out of a Mustang, then they want to see if they can make your feet move. And it's like, okay, I wonder if I make this chump's feet move. I know he's not going to kill me. Let's see if we can get him to move. Horses are professional people trainers. Don't think Mustangs are any different. Okay. Keep his head bent here as I get in closer to him. It's very important to keep their head bent towards you. in case they go to kick or do something. You want them in close to you. Want their head tipped towards you, that way it'll encourage that butt to go away. Now I'm going to get a little bit more aggressive towards him today. When I say aggressive, just kind of more obvious about rubbing him a little firmer, and kind of like treating him like an old broke kid's pony. Okay. Change sides. Oh, I like that, how that front end stepped away just then. If you don't desensitize after each exercise, I guarantee you they will get jumpy. It's one of the biggest mistakes I made when I first learnt this from Gordon, is that if you only sensitize them, good news is when you tell them to move, they will move. Bad news is they'll get jumpy. See what he's doing here? Don't lean into me, move away. And you might say, well, Clint, he just leaned into you just a little step. If I let that go, it'll be 2 steps tomorrow. Okay? Do not push into me. Starting to work my way under that belly there, over the top of his hindquarters, up his neck here. Do not push in. Move that front end away. Move that front end away. That's why it's very important to get that front end to yield quickly. Because if you don't, they'll just go worse at it. And I'm going to work on that next. See here? Move this front end away. Yesterday I moved it away with some steady pressure just to kind of give him the concept. Today I think we can start with some driving pressure. 1, 2, 3. Drive that front end away. There we go. Rub him to a stop. 1, 2. Have some rhythm. 1, 2. Remember, we talked about rhythm is very important in the philosophy book. Okay, in the fundamentals kit. There. That's it. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 4. Until he can yield 360 degrees. So boy. If he doesn't move, I'm going to tap him on his nose, tap him above his eye. There we go. Change sides, bring that front end across, bring that front end across, bring that front end. Nearly, get ready for that step. There it is, right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. 1, 2. Usually you'll find the side that they're duller on is easier, it's a little harder, sorry, to get them to move away. The side that they're a little spookier on is a little harder. There. 2 eyes. 2, 2, 3. Always count with rhythm. He may not cross over perfectly right now, and that's not the end of the world. As long as he gets the overall concept there, to step away. 1, 2, 3. I notice he's going to walk out of it. I'll jerk on his nose. And always rub it away. 1, 2. That's better. He's getting a little closer here. I love it, his legs cocked. Move away. There. Now I can start substituting my stick for my hand a lot more too. And this is the side he's a little more pushy on. Bring that front end across, tap with rhythm, there. Never hurts to practice a little bit of this. Just bringing that change in eyes here. Get that front end to move somewhere. Good boy. That's a boy. His leading's better, isn't it? It's not great just yet, but it's definitely better. Let's do a little turn and go. I'm going to turn, and then I'm going to drive those feet off. Slide my hand down, look at his hindquarters, yield. And now I'm going to encourage him to come up to me each time now. Then I can rub him with the stick. Lots of rubbing on their face. If they throw their head up when you flip this around them, keep doing it. He's being pretty good. If I don't see any major oh no in him, you're going to notice I'm going to move on pretty quickly. I'm just checking things out here. Okay, I'm just checking things out. If I see something that I don't like, then you're going to go ahead and see me work on it some more. Slide, stab, yield. Didn't give me 2 eyes, did he? 2 eyes. There. He only gets rest when he gives me 2 eyes. See this, and he kind of jumped. So if I notice he jumps or does something silly, then I'll just go do it again. Now that he's getting a little quieter, I can get in here beside him a little bit more. And I know he's not going to worry about it. Now I'm going to start doing things like tapping his side here. Okay, seesawing the rope a little bit. I'm going to turn, point. See that stickiness right here? Come on, move. That's what I'm talking about. He's got to learn to come off that halter now. He kind of comes off it real lackadaisy, like, yeah, whatever, when I'm ready, I'll move off that halter. Slide, stab, yield. Didn't. Oh man, he almost got a butt spanking there, didn't he? Okay, that's good. but he didn't need it. So pretty much from here on, I'm just kind of starting to treat him like any other horse here. And he just follows along with the exercises. Turn, point. Come on, move. So notice when I get after him with some energy. He realizes when I'm further away that I can't get him, or at least he thinks that. Horses love to play that game, you can't touch me. I bet I can if I run in there and whip your ass a few times, okay? So when he realizes that I'm gonna run in there, he will not stand there and have a cigarette in his mouth reading a book. He's turning then like, duh, what now? Well, now that you mentioned it, you gotta get moving. Move now. I'm going to seesaw it behind him here. Remember how much he hated the rope up around his back legs? Okay, around his belly, he's kicking at this and getting all upset about it. Quite a bit better. I'm going to step back. Now watch where I point. Point out to the right. There, that wasn't too bad. That was the first time that I didn't have to use the stick to get him to move. I'm going to yield. I'm going to yield. If he steps forward like that, take him up on the offer and retreat. Let's go the other way. You can do this exercise with your baby foals. Not so much drive them away, but just get him comfortable being up beside you. Get it thumping his belly here. Seesaw back and forth. Get them used to all this. If they move around, you just keep flapping it here until they stand still and relax. Turn. See that dead spot? Come on, move. I kept spanking him until he cantered a couple of strides. Get going. Slide, stab, yield. There we go. Okay. Good boy. Turn. Now that was better. That time he came off that halter really good. I'll do one more and then we'll quit that exercise. I love that one. I just threw that rope at him there. He didn't jump away from it. There we go. Love that, flapping it against his side and he just ignores it. Let's see what he does. Turn and, oh, didn't quite go there, did he? Little sticky there. Each exercise, you notice, gives me more control of his feet and unsticks his feet. Yield. Good boy.